What up, noobs? I built a lot of pro formas back in the day, and after a while it becomes second nature. And a while after that, I just hired someone else to do them. I picked up plenty of patterns and shortcuts by doing them myself, but while interviewing interns, I noticed that a lot of masters in real estate development students aren't trained in understanding a fundamental concept, and by not factoring it into their pro formas, they actually become ticking time bombs. You may be familiar with the concept of significant digits or significant figures. It's the idea that if you're making calculations with measurements of varying accuracy, your result should only be stated to the degree of accuracy of your least accurate measurement. Here's an example. You want to tile a bathroom with 5.25 by 5.25 inch square tiles with 1/16 of an inch grout spacing. All you know is that the bathroom is around 5 by 7 feet, or about 35 square feet. If you convert the 35 square feet to 1/16 of an inch and divide it by the surface area of your tiles plus grout spacing, that accuracy doesn't mean shit. You have 3 levels of accuracy in this calculation. The grout spacing is the most accurate, down to the 1/16 of an inch. Then the tiles, which are 1/4 of an inch. Then the bathroom size, which is to the foot. You can only approximate the number of tiles to the square foot, not to a 1/4 inch, and definitely not to a 1/16 of an inch. The significant digit here is the ones place for square feet. So the number of tiles you need will be only accurate to the tens digit of tiles. That's why you're supposed to order 10% on top of your calculations. Also because you need to cut the tiles. But that's irrelevant. You probably know where I'm headed with this. Your real estate pro forma is nothing but a gigantic, interconnected calculation to predict cash flows, valuation, profits, IRRs, and guess what? All of it is only as accurate as your least accurate measurement. Are you scared? You should be terrified. The problem I frequently encounter with MSRED students is that they will pour weeks or months worth of work into getting every detail of a pro forma right, because they're actually trained to do one for a capstone project in their last semester.
Ain't nobody got time for that!
Look at my other videos about my deal funnel. Unless I'm going to close on a deal, I can only dedicate a few days tops to a single pro forma. It's not actually the amount of time that they spend on it that bothers me. It's the fact that there's so much detail put into complex calculations that are incredibly inaccurate. Think of all the inputs that you need to go into your pro forma in order to calculate your deal profit. You gotta estimate your construction budget, which itself consists of a lot of smaller budgets. Then you have to estimate how fast you'll spend it over your projected construction schedule. Then you gotta estimate your monthly rent and your OPEX based on the shiny new units you built, projected out for maybe 3 to 5 years. And your exit value will be based on a ton of micro and macroeconomic factors totally out of your control. But you encapsulate those factors into a target cap rate that you hope the neighborhood and asset class will be trading at by that time. Each one of these variables is actually competing to be less accurate than the next, and can wildly throw off your profit numbers if they're wrong. But I'll give you a guideline on their accuracy rankings, in order from most to least accurate. Number 1 is your construction budget. Because you can get quotes before you close, you have to build in contingency budgets, and you mostly have control of it during construction. You can also negotiate guaranteed max price contracts from vendors. So if you're really off, it's your own fault. Number 2 is the construction schedule, which is also very much in your control. But plenty of things out of your control can cause delays. In a building that generates $1 million in gross revenue a year, if you miss your schedule by a month, that's 83 grand plus interest that's gone. Every day costs you $2,700 plus interest carry. Scary, right? But not as scary as getting number 3, the rent projections wrong. If you build something that just sits vacant or rents for way less than what you expected, your ability to cover your debt service may fall below required thresholds from the bank and could put you at risk of default. And worse, your valuation is going to be off. How much? If your building will trade at a 5% cap rate, every $100 of annual rent you're off by is a $2,000 difference in your exit valuation. In parts of Manhattan, rents are down 30% from pre-COVID times. Say you anticipated $1 million in NOI and instead you're getting $700,000. If the building is valuated at a 5% cap rate, your valuation got a $6 million haircut due to COVID. Ouch. You may have figured out by now that the exit cap rate is the least accurate number and can totally crash a market if it swings up. A projected estimate for the cap rate may only be accurate to within 1/4 or even 0.5%. It gets less accurate the further out your exit is. So say you hit all your other targets perfectly on the nose because of your superior forecasting skills, and you achieve a $1 million NOI. If your model predicted an exit at a 4.5% cap rate, you would sell the building for $22,222,200 $222. And you would want every dollar of that because you were so accurate on your other predictions. But sadly, a number of things totally out of your control happened. So maybe the Fed raised interest rates and the cap rates moved up with it to 5.5%. So now your building is worth $18,181,818. Do you see how stupid it is to predict to the dollar when you can't even be accurate to the millions digit? What happens in the real world is that all of these estimates will most likely turn out to be wrong, and your range of possible exit values will be extremely wide. And you know the scariest thing? A massive portion of the financial system operates on these estimates, and they're considered to be way more accurate than they are. The entire real estate industry relies on forecasts that assume that rents escalate 3% a year. But other than that, everything else is assumed to be about the same. Let that marinate in your head for a while. 2008 financial crisis makes a lot of sense now, doesn't it? And what do you think is happening right now during the pandemic? So how do we address this problem at YD Development? Well, first, I tell prospective interns that their training's great, but don't you dare spend 3 months on a pro forma unless a bank asks for it. And second, when we build a complex pro forma, we do sensitivity analysis to figure out ranges of where things will end up. And we provide these ranges to the investors. Remember, the world is full of fat tail risk, and happens. And third, we go into deals super paranoid of the risks, and it makes us more mentally prepared to handle them. Real estate is supposedly a super safe asset, but real estate development is way riskier than most people realize. So arm yourself with this knowledge, because understanding your risk is half the battle. Stay curious, noobs.